Hey, what up guys? So we're back with another Warhammer 40k reaction video by MajorKill. If you're new, channel, welcome. So the video I'm going to be checking out today is called What Did the Lion and the Dark Angels Do During the Horus Heresy? So after checking out a lot of videos about the Dark Angels and the Primarch Lion, Lionel Johnson, basically, so far they are one of my favorite Space Marine factions or groups, however you want to call them, because their dedication, their strength, and also their Primarch's armor design looks amazing, and his story, how he disappeared and he came back, and if he came back and reunited the Dark Angels, including the fallen Dark Angels, who knows what would have happened. He would have pretty much been the strongest out of all, things like that. So I'm curious to see what the Lion and the Dark Angels did during the Horus Heresy, because I'm still trying to figure out what they did and how things went. And on top of that, if you guys know why I chose the Dark Angels to review first, then you guys already checked out my quiz videos for Warhammer 40k, who is my Space Marine Legion, and also who is the Primarch that I am. So that's how it came out too. So without anything else, enough of me blabbering, let's get into the video.
G'day guys and gal. The Horus Heresy is one of the richest series in terms of lore ever created, not just within Warhammer, but all fictional settings. Dozens of books, hundreds of characters, and countless plot lines and epic moments that are all building towards a single final moment that changed the galaxy forever. We all know about it, but with there being probably over 3 million Warhammer 40k fans, with even the best Horus Heresy books being lucky to get close to 100,000 copies sold, it seems as if 95% of us don't actually know what the fuck happened during this wildly interesting era. Fortunately, I've been crunching Horus Heresy books like a depraved heroin addict, and have gained a pretty solid understanding of the series that will only continue to increase. So I thought the best way to explain the Heresy series would be to highlight what each legion did during it. This means you get all the Primarch and Space Marine content without all the filler human-y content. Obviously, I'm going to start with the Dark Angels because they are the first legion and always get bulk views, but I do intend on diving into each and every legion, and boy can I say I'm so happy that the Alpha Legion are last, because the more I learn about these guys, the more confused I get. Today we'll dive into what the Lion and the Dark Angels got up to during the Horus Heresy. In the process, we will uncover the origins of the meme that claims that the Dark Angel Legion are a bunch of heretics. Now let's get into it.
Alright, let's see what MajorKill has to say.
Their tail in the far-flung corner of the galaxy, hence if it took them a while to get stuck into massacring traitors and being the galactic boogeyman for anything with a horn or more than one cock. See, when Horus decided to go full jihadist mode and against the Emperor, he had a few years of pre-planning. Time he spent redirecting resources away from loyalists and towards traitor legions. Time spent positioning each legion where he wanted them. This was a big reason why the traitors started off so well. They had all the cards. The one legion Horus didn't want to mess with, however, was the Dark Angels. He knew that no ambush or treachery, no matter how spicy, would defeat the Dark Angels. They had insane weapons and technology that only they were allowed to use by order of the Emperor. They were also the legion that got sent when something from a Lovecraftian horror story needed to be put down.
That is such an amazing design.
In the Lion's Primarch book, he took on and overcame a 60 million year old godlike Xeno race and defeated them, despite them being powerful enough to not only survive but also thrive during the War in Heaven. Compare that with Fulgrim's Primarch book, where the Emperor's children's Primarch struggled to bring a low-tech human Imperial world into compliance and nearly died doing so due to his own ego, and you begin to see just how far above his brothers the Lion was. So Horus sent the First Legion on a mission to the corner of the galaxy with the hope that they would be slowed down enough for the traitors to complete their main objectives. So for the opening of the Heresy, the Lion was on the sidelines being like, what the fuck bro? But that isn't quite the start of the Dark Angels Heresy lore. They had two plot lines. The first
so
being
he was
what the Lion
observing
and his fleet were up to, the second being what was happening on the Dark Angels' homeworld of Caliban. See, a few decades before the Heresy, the Lion would banish his second-in-command Luther, the man who had found and adopted the Lion on Caliban, back home under the guise of boosting recruitment numbers. This was because during an early compliance, a hostile world smuggled a nuke on board the Lion's flagship. Luther found it and almost let it explode, as if the Lion died, he would take charge of the Legion and no longer have to live in the Lion's shadow. But common sense prevailed and Luther disposed of the bomb. Despite saving the Lion's life,
Hostile
the Lion
takeover.
felt something was off about what happened and he ordered Luther back to Caliban. Luther fulfilled the role of recruitment boosting with amazing results, swelling the Dark Angel Legion numbers, but over time he grew resentful, not only at the Lion's abandonment, but also because Caliban was being slowly destroyed, its beautiful forests and culture being torn down to make room for industry. That resentment would make fertile soil for the seeds of heresy to be sown. When the Lion first got wind of the heresy, he didn't quite understand the scope of it. He thought that Horus's ego and narcissism had driven him to foolishness, and that he would be easily crushed, paving the way for the Lion to become the new War Master. It was this ignorance that resulted in the Lion giving Perturabo, a traitor, some insane siege weapons. He didn't know Perty was a traitor at the time, and he seriously regretted what he did, but it was just one of many moments highlighting his lack of understanding of the situation. The Lion was loyal to the Emperor and the Emperor alone. Initially, when he heard that Guilliman was mustering the Loyalist forces to him, he saw the Ultramarines Primarch as just as big of a threat as Horus. It also didn't help that the Legion Horus sent to slow down the Lion was the Night Lords, a legion that was barely using Chaos or had been corrupted. Hence the Lion didn't actually learn about Chaos and its involvement until much later on. If the Wordbearers had instead been sent to slow him down, he would have seen the corruption and evil sooner. Thus he would have persecuted the traitors with extreme prejudice, rather than just
look at the eyes all over
and following his own agenda while calling both Horus and G-Man a bunch of cocksuckers. Despite being a vastly superior legion in terms of combat, the Dark Angels really struggled with the Night Lords. The Night Lords' hit-and-run tactics and complete avoidance of straight-up fights was very frustrating for the Lion. Hence the Lion traveled to a world that had a powerful Xeno device on it. On that world, an Iron Hands and Death Guard force were mid-battle, so he spanked
I didn't know about
both of
that
them
for the
and
Night
sent them on
Lords.
their way before claiming the device
Giving
for
the Lion a hard
himself.
time.
Once again showing his poor understanding of the heresy by treating loyalists and traitors the same. The device was like a psychic warp AI supercomputer that could instantly warp teleport large objects light years away. The Lion used this device to finally ambush the Night Lords, killing a quarter of the Legion and a massive chunk of their fleet. They also managed to capture the Night Lord's first Captain Sevatar, as well as kill most of the first company. Conrad was also aboard their ship and played an extremely violent game of hide and seek with the Dark Angels. So bang, the Dark Angels clapped the Night Lords, leaving them leaderless, thus benching them for more or less the rest of the heresy. With the Dark Angels free of the Night Lords for the most part, the Lion rendezvoused with Guilliman and Sanguinius and Ultramar, with the help of a mini Astronomicon called the Pharos device. See, the Wordbearers had cut the galaxy in half with a fuck-off massive warp storm called the Ruin Storm in order to cut these three elite loyalists off from Terra. Expecting the worst, Guilliman created Imperium Secundus, under the assumption that the Emperor was dead and Terra had fallen. Imperium Secundus was a plan B, a stronghold in which the remaining loyalists could uphold the ideals of the Imperium. Sanguinius was its Emperor, the Lion its War Master, and Guilliman its tax attorney. However, Conrad escaped the Lion's ship at a similar time and became a huge pain in the ass, becoming a one-man ISIS as he terrorized Macragge. The Lion, Sanguinius, and Guilliman kept trying to corner and capture him.
By the way, one of you guys commented that he's like an evil Batman.
Almost killing the Lion and G-Man in an explosive trap. This triggered the shit out of the Lion. He was the apex predator, the ultimate hunter, and this fucking spastic was constantly evading him and outplaying him. So he went full war crimes mode and managed to finally corner Conrad. Finally, the two Primarchs were able to fight man to man. No hiding, no ambushes, no distractions, and you bet your ass the Lion fucked up Conrad big time, snapping his spine over his knee Bane style. Yes, the irony of Conrad being Batman in that comparison is not lost on me. Conrad is then brought to stand trial, and whilst Conrad can't finesse his way out of judgment, he could turn the Primarchs on each other, with Guilliman and Sanguinius being disgusted in the lengths the Lion went to capture Curse. Hence the Lion and the Dark Angels were banished from Imperium Secundus. While all this had been happening, Caliban had gone to shit. Luther's paranoia and resentment, combined with a bit of a random demon on Caliban causing a ruckus, resulted in Luther declaring Caliban independent, imprisoning Terran officials and loyalists. He then declared that his Dark Angels were no longer loyal to the Lion or the Emperor. Chaos had also begun infecting Luther's mind, driving him to seek more and more power through less savory means. What started off as good intentions to save his homeworld devolved deeper and deeper into unhinged justifications for shitty actions. Despite this, Luther refused to declare for Horus. He truly wanted Caliban to remain independent. As such, he did not attack the Dark Angel Corswain when Corswain bumped into Luther, but he did help hide some Death Guard from the Dark Angels. However, things do get more confusing as each of Luther's fallen angels, as they were called, had different motives and beliefs. Some were loyal to Chaos, others to Caliban, some liked the Emperor but despised the Lion, and others were just as confused as us. As a result of this, the Fallen wasn't a very cohesive unit. For example,
it's really chaotic.
Master Beleth arrived on Caliban, a loyal Dark Angel. Luther wanted to treat with him, but one of his underlings, who was a bit more hardcore, engaged the arrivals in battle, which resulted in full-on death and tomfoolery. So whilst they were now traitors to the Lion, they could not coordinate enough to leave Caliban in force or have much impact on the Heresy. Coming back to the Lion now, as he was about to leave Ultramar, he began to have a bit of self-reflection over the past few years. Some regrets. His mistakes in giving Perty the siege weapons due to his own ambition to become War Master, how he went about banishing Luther, his fit of rage that had seen him kill one of his favoured Dark Angel's sons, even the way he viewed the Heresy as a petty easy conflict rather than the galactic sundering good versus evil event it actually was. During this reflection, the Lion realised that the Emperor was actually alive, as if Conrad foresaw that the Emperor would send an assassin to kill him, then the Emperor had to be alive to do so. The Lion rushed back to Macragge and halted the execution, explaining his reasoning to Sanguinius and Guilliman, who were like, "Oh, fuck. You mean we could have spent this time getting to Terra and saving the day rather than just jerking off here? Well, shit." The three brothers quickly dissolved Imperium Secundus and began bum rushing to Terra, with Conrad as their prisoner. After killing an absolute fuckload of demons, the three loyalists were able to find a path through the warp storm blocking them. However, Horus had left a huge fleet to block it, hence the Lion and Guilliman distracted the fleet and allowed Sanguinius to punch through to Terra. This is why the Blood Angels were one of the three loyalist legions on Terra. However, as a result of this, the Dark Angels were split off and unable to get through the storm. So after uniting with the Space Wolves and Raven Guard, they decided to vent some frustration by destroying nearly every single traitor Primarch homeworld. The Lion justified this by saying that they could pull traitor forces away from Terra if the enemy thought their worlds were under threat, but in reality the Lion just wanted to make his fuckhead brothers pay for everything they had done. Sadly, this too was a big mistake, as the time the Lion spent destroying these worlds could have been spent on trying to break through and get to Terra, potentially altering the course of the siege and stopping the Emperor from being mortally wounded. Leman Russ and the Lion both shared a lot of guilt from choosing vengeance over duty, as they were wandering through the ashes of humanity's birth world. There were actually some Dark Angels on Terra during the siege, notably Corswain and some of Luther's Fallen. They were fighting for the Emperor's forces, securing small but key objectives, once again compounding the confusion regarding the Fallen's true loyalties. The Lion led his sons and pursued the fleeing traitor forces, massacring them whenever they went. The traitors no longer had their homeworlds or strongholds to fall back to, so most of them beeline to the Eye of Terror. When
like
the
I said,
felt he'd
that
done enough,
is
he
an
went back to
amazing
Caliban for the first time
armor
in
design.
decades, only to find the planet
Look at that.
ruined from
Wow.
the civil wars that had taken place. To the Lion's
The green
shock,
looks amazing.
Caliban then fired upon his fleet. At this point, Luther was now firmly under the influence of chaos, even if most of his fallen angels weren't. The Lion arrived on the planet and dueled Luther. They fought, with neither truly wanting to kill the other. In a fit of rage, seeing that their pawn Luther would not kill the Lion, the Chaos Gods turbo-raped Caliban with a massive warp storm, tearing the planet apart as the fallen angels were dragged into the warp. Luther was captured by the loyalist Dark Angels, whilst the Lion was taken by the Watchers in the Dark, little cosmic Jawa-looking motherfuckers, to be put into a coma
yeah, it
in
does
the
look
very
like
deepest
Jawas.
parts of the Dark Angels' new flagship, the Rock. There he remained for 10,000 years, recently waking up as we have all seen. Luther would also remain in the bowels of the Rock, regretful of his actions and eager to once again serve the Lion. He was recently freed by a demonic attack. The fallen angels have been getting periodically spat out of the warp across time and space.
Oh, look at him.
Most go into hiding as the loyal Dark Angels chapter hunt them without mercy. So where does the meme regarding the Dark Angels' loyalties come from? Well, firstly, it's from Caliban going full traitor mode, but also the Lion's initial attitude at the start of the Heresy. His loyalty was only to the Emperor. He didn't give a fuck about anyone else. Whilst Primarchs like Sanguinius and Guilliman were very clearly loyalist, the Lion's initial policy of sit back and watch what was happening definitely came across as a bit weird. But rest assured, the Lion was 110% loyalist and didn't even consider betraying the Emperor even for a moment. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be, where there is not only a boatload of Battle Mace 40 million hentai, but also a bunch of live action nude cosplay photos. Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe.
Alright guys, so that was what did the Lion and the Dark Angels do during the Horus Heresy. And so far from what I've seen, the Lion really acted like a strategist or a tactician instead of like just joining one side and just like unleashing like a whole lot of fighting and violence. He actually observed and like kind of like took notes on like both sides, saying like, so which one is like worth my time, or like which side should I really fight for? Like, is this the right cause, or is this the right thing to do? Things like that. And it looks like half the video he kind of like recapped the last Lion and the Dark Angels lore video that I watched, and on top of that he always ends it with that Patreon like nude cosplay whatever. And one thing I liked about MajorKill is that he does not hold back when it comes to words. Like, he will just speak his mind. He does not censor anything. He will just say it. So that's what I really like about him. But hey, MajorKill, if you're watching this, shout out to you and credit goes to you. Amazing work as always. I really enjoy your video. But anyways, that's gonna be it for today. So that was another Warhammer 40k lore video about the Dark Knights. I mean, not Dark Knights. Dark Knight. I thought about Batman. That's why I thought about Dark Knight. Because they showed the Night Lords, the Dark Angels, and the Lion. And if you want more videos, make sure to hit that notification bell so you know when I drop another video. And also, thank you so much for your support. I really do appreciate it. Hope you guys are having an amazing day or night wherever you guys are. And I'll see you guys next time.